Yo, what up, people? Origin Base. Check this out. First and foremost, I want to apologize because I have not been posting like I need to. I have not been giving you guys a proper update on my cases, basically with my life. It's just not, legality issues. Just not credit repair. This is actually my life, you guys. So I'm just bringing everyone, along the journey with me. So I need to back up. I got to give you guys a update. Where do I start? It's been so much that's been happening. Life has just been lifing, and it's been a few months. So let's go all the way back to February, really. So February, I had a small claims case, which was successful. We reached a settlement agreement, and once I signed the settlement agreement and emailed it back to him, I had my money in my account within 48 hours. Within 48 hours, I had bands in my account. So I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one because that was a small win. Um, right after that, I had the my TransUnion case. That one fell short. Just minor discrepancies, on my end. I'm gonna say on my end. One is I took advice from the clerk, which I shouldn't have, and then the other one was I was battling federal consumer rights in a superior, state court. So that wasn't, it didn't suffice. So fast forward to that, come March, I had a court date, and that court date was actually for the wage garnishment and debt collecting case that I had. That was actually from Discover. So that case got pretty sticky. It got pretty sticky. Um, we had the court date in March. I'm getting my dates, I gotta remember these dates again. We had it in March, and I received it wasn't the motion to vacate in March. It was no, it was. I'm sorry, that was March. March 11th, I received my motion to vacate, and I had to submit my answer. So once I submitted my answer, they gave me 30 days to do so. So I was kind of in a rush. To submit my answer. I didn't give them a whole generic answer. I did have defenses. Improper service. They didn't never validated the debt. The transaction history, everything that I asked for, even in my debt validation letter, it was never, it was never produced. So I reiterated some of those things on my response. So I sent it in the proper timing because I had to. If I didn't submit my response, they were going to revert back to a default judgment and and make me pay everything on what they're suing me for. So I couldn't have that happen. So I submitted my response, and after I submitted my response, we had another court date that was April 10th. April 10th was our other court date after I submitted my response. And two things happened with that court date. The first thing that happened was I went to the court date and I requested for a continuance. Due to a family emergency. I will never forget this year, 2026. It's life. So April 7th, my father passed away. My father transitioned. It's been very hard because I actually had the privilege of knowing my father. Not just knowing my father, but growing up with my father and my mother, married until the day he passed away. So I had the privilege of knowing the roles of a man and a woman, a husband and wife, and the problems that can happen, that will occur, and how to get through things like that. I was very close with my dad, and it's very, very, very heartbreaking still to even just to talk about it. To even just talk about it. My dad transitioned, and a piece of my heart is gone. And the thing that really bothers me or hurts me or is just flabbergasting is that I can barely open up about that kind of loss because unfortunately, too many of us did not grow up with their fathers or don't even know their fathers. So for me to feel this pain and to harbor this pain that I'm feeling within, I really can't open up to people about it because they don't empathize nor do they sympathize. Because I'm feeling the pain that majority of people, they don't know what that feels like. They don't know what that feels like. And it's very hurtful. It's alarming. It's alarming and it's concerning. I actually went on a couple of dates with this woman around that time. And just spiritually I'm out of it. Emotionally I'm out of it. Mentally I'm out of it. And I caught myself being a little vulnerable and opening up to this woman about what I was experiencing, the loss of my father. And she hasn't seen her father since she was 2 years old. So she couldn't experience or even come to the level where I'm at on the type of pain that I was experiencing. But the thing that stood out to me was, instead of her, I'm not telling her to be here for me as my girlfriend or wife or anything like that, but just a human being comforting another human being is the type of treatment that I needed. And she failed to do so. Instead, this woman said, "Hey, well, welcome to the No Father Club. Yay!" And she celebrated. I wanted to slap the shit out this lady. I'm not gonna lie to you. She celebrated that I didn't have no father because she didn't have hers. That was the most concerning and alarming thing I've ever experienced in my life. For real. So obviously, we stopped talking after that eventually. And I went on and I met someone else. I met this other woman that it was cool. We had some cool conversations. I know I'm digressing from my legality issues, but this video was more on an update and a recap on what's going on in my life, my personal life. So back to the story, I talked to this other woman. Everything was cool, and Father's Day came. Father's Day came. I don't have my father anymore. My son doesn't have his grandfather anymore. I'm a father myself. So the alarming thing that this woman said to me, or didn't say, was, "No, it's Father's Day," and she gonna sit up there and ask me, "Am I supposed to tell you Happy Father's Day?" That's how quiet I got. I didn't say nothing. I just let those words linger in the air so she can hear how stupid she sounds. Then after, I told her, well, normally people will say Happy Father's Day to people, especially if you know that they're a father. Or if they're a mother, you tell them Happy Mother's Day. So the fact that she told me that she doesn't have a relationship with her father, and not only that, she doesn't like her father, is what she told me. She don't like her dad, so she don't tolerate or celebrate Father's Day, and for sure don't want to celebrate other fathers. That was another alarming situation that unfortunately I had to experience. Absent fathers plays a tremendous role in our lives, men and women, men and women. And it seems that it may be a little harder on women because when they don't have that one father figure or male figure, that masculine energy, the first man that's supposed to love them in their lives, when they don't have that, a lot of the times they grow up to basically to neglect and have this hatred towards men, whether they know it or not. That's what I've experienced. That's what I've experienced. So that's what I'm going through right now. Just missing my dad, dog. I miss my dad, man. So many questions, so many things I still needed to ask him. I still need to talk to him about, and just to not have that. It's just something. It's hard to grasp. It's hard to grasp. So now I'm in a situation to where I honestly believe I can't open up about that kind of pain because unfortunately, too many of us didn't experience that to have that pain. So that's the core reason on why I haven't been on here. I haven't posted any videos. And my dad was one of the ones who I would talk to about my cases about, what's going on next. And he was proud, dude. Like, he was really happy to see me doing these things and exercising my consumer rights. And I was helping him with his credit. And it was all kind of things that was happening. And he just unexpectedly, he just passed away. So, and I really feel bad. I really not feel bad, but my father didn't get a chance to see me close my first case, to actually see me settle my first case for not just something small, not too big, but it was a good number. It was a good amount, and we was gonna celebrate that. So wasn't able to celebrate it. Wasn't able to celebrate it. So, but back to the issue at hand. The show must go on. The show must go on. I gotta keep doing what I'm doing. I gotta keep doing what I'm doing for my immediate family and for my child. So I scheduled I'm having my mind is still foggy. It's still cloudy. Uh, um, damn, what's the word I'm looking for? I scheduled oh my god, to reschedule the court date. I don't know why I can't think of the damn word. So I rescheduled it because of family emergency. And the crazy thing about that is when I rescheduled for a family emergency, one, it was already on the record that we couldn't reschedule the hearing. We couldn't. But since I had a good reason, the judge went on and rescheduled for July 28th. But when she rescheduled, it was crazy because she asked the plaintiff, are they okay with trial? Did they want to continue? And they were like, yeah, we ready to continue. They were confident. They were excited. They had 3 or 4 witnesses there. I'm just like, damn, I'm not in the mindset to do this right now. So luckily, I rescheduled. So when I got home, I maybe checked the mail 2 days later after that. And guess what I had in the mail? The plaintiff sent me a whole uh what is it called? Trial trial brief. They sent me a whole trial brief on what they're fighting, on what they're saying that I'm not fighting, and why a default judgment should be placed against me again before going to trial. So that was kind of, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I had to do my due diligence on, first of all, what a trial brief is. and so I can put one on record for myself. So I did my research, got my evidence together, got everything that I needed because one, I needed to file my trial brief, and two, we was going back to court shortly. So that's exactly what I did. I prepared, I got my story together, my storyline, my timeline, everything from A to Z. I got my exhibits, my evidence, my proof on everything that I was fighting against. And the one thing that I do like though about these plaintiffs is that they took me serious. And the reason why I knew they was taking me serious is because 1 week before our court date, I want to say about July 20th, I received another trial brief in the mail. And guess what, y'all? This trial brief was talking about one of the defenses that I was going to use. Just one of them, though. I had plenty of defenses. But the fact that they went back to the drawing board and really, really evaluated the case and seeing what does the defendant really have against us? What is he going to use? So they really put their stuff together and they found one of the defenses that I was going to use. It's small though, but the fact that they found it and they updated their trial brief about that, it shows me that they really, at least they showing me the respect that I deserve when it comes in the courtroom. So the defense that they chose to try to alleviate or whatever was a merger. Was a merger. I was going to use it. So basically, Discover sued me. Discover is no more. Discover has now merged with Capital One. Discover is no more. They have now merged with Capital One. Capital One bought out Discover or whatever, however you want to put it. So I was sued by Discover, not Capital One. But their original trial brief all of a sudden says Capital One. You can't do that without filing with the court properly to let the court know that Discover will no longer be the plaintiff. It's now Capital One. So I figured that out on my own, just doing my research and finding out that Discover merged with Capital One in 2025, March 2025 last year. They mentioned nothing about that in the entirety of our case until July 2026. So I was going to use that because everything that had Discover name on it, I was going to have that thrown out or have that evidence thrown out because basically they don't exist anymore. I'm dealing with Capital One now. So they caught that. They did catch that. And they submitted the proper paperwork to file with the court to let the court know that it was a merger that happened. That's fine with me. That's fine with me because guess what? They sent me that trial brief 1 day before I was sending them my trial brief. So that gave me 24 hours to update my trial brief to add that merger in there. So now I was able to add that merger as one of their potential defenses against me. So yeah, I updated that, threw that in there. They didn't know that was going to happen. They received my trial brief a few days before our court date. They didn't expect for me to do anything because I kind of went silent for 3 months. I went ghost for 3 months. On the last video, you guys know why. Can't be calling me right now. I'm doing a video. So, with that happening, we went to the court date. The judge asked me, did we speak about this case beforehand? No, we did not. Asked the plaintiffs. They said the same thing. No, we did not. Then the judge asked, would I like to, to converse with the plaintiff about reaching a settlement agreement? And the plaintiffs, she asked the plaintiffs first, and the plaintiffs immediately said, no, we're ready for trial right now. Basically, let's go. So I know how good faith works. So then the judge asked me, would I like to settle or anything like that? And I told the judge, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it. And when I said that, I heard the plaintiffs go, well, okay. They didn't expect that. Because if I'm not opposed to it, and you just want to just go straight to trial, knowing that you have bad evidence, bad proof, I didn't have a right to due process from the beginning. It kind of makes them look a little bad, a little bad. It doesn't look pleasant in the judge's eyes or in the court's eyes. So she gave us a 15-minute break or 20-minute break to make the phone call and to try to come up with a settlement agreement. So I came out the courtroom. I called them. We going back and forth. They didn't want to give me an initial number. I didn't want to give them an initial number. We in negotiation now. So we go back and forth a few times, and they finally cracked and gave me a starting number. First rule of negotiation, what I learned, never go with the first number. I just needed that on record. So now, since I know what they talking about, yeah, I gave them my number. They didn't like it. They came down. It was okay, but I still wanted them to come down a little lower. So I gave them a rebuttal. They denied it. They refused. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm prepared to go to trial. If anything changes, you let me know. You got my number. And they said, okay, same here. We'll do. Cool. We hung up the phone, walked back in the courtroom, started the trial. They didn't want to have an opening. They were so confident they didn't need one. I gave her my opening, or gave the judge my opening. Then we proceeded to the evidence. They called their first witness up, and their first witness, I don't like it because their first witness was just a Capital One representative that was going over their so-called financial records. No proof, no evidence, no physical documentation, no nothing. So basically it was whatever they say suffice in the court of law, because they pledged under oath that they're telling the truth. So even when I asked for physical documentation to prove what they're saying is accurate, they objected because this person is under oath. So therefore, since they're under oath and they are a witness testifying, they did not have to produce any physical documentation on what they were verbally saying. And then I asked them, because I had to cross-examine the witness. I had questions too. I'm not going out without a fight. We're not doing that. So I asked them my questions. If it wasn't objected, the witness gonna sit up there and say, well, I know this because it's just from my knowledge. What? Nah, you gotta prove this to me. How I know you're not lying? Well, I'm under oath. So what? So what? Prove it. Where's the documents? Because you can sit up there and say anything. Anything. So I asked him, how do I know that this is even accurate? This is the truth. Well, it's just from my memory. I looked at it and I remembered. That's what it said. That's what they witness said. Got up there on the stand, and that's what he told me. Of course I objected. Of course I had other questions. But the judge overruled and said that that was okay. The evidence that they had was okay, even if it didn't explain the last payment and the remaining balance. None of that documentation was in their exhibits, and that's what I questioned them on, but it was overruled because a testimonial witness can verbally say something that does not have to be physically documented. That was news to me. I did not know that. So my downfall, I'm giving you guys an update on the case in case you guys ever have to go through this. My downfall would, I had an idea I should have did it, but I wasn't sure what kind of case that I had because I'm just learning this too. I'm learning all of this as I go. I wasn't sure if I was allowed or if it was required for me to send out discovery. I should have did discovery. I didn't do discovery. I'm still mad at myself about that because if I would have done discovery, they would have had no choice but to produce those documents on what the witness was claiming that he saw. But since I didn't request discovery, his verbal testimony, it was allowed. It was allowed because I didn't do discovery. So now I know. You know, you live and you learn. You live and you learn. So after their exhibits was counting as legal evidence or proof, which I did not agree with because the facts are the facts, and they didn't have the facts. So we have facts and we have law. Law outweighed the facts, which I'm still a little upset about that, but it is what it is. I'm still learning. And as the trial went on, we got to the closing and we went to another recess. We had another break. And when we got back, we were going to go into closing. And seeing how the whole trial was playing out, this is 3-4 hours in now. We getting into closing, and the evidence I had was overruled. The objection that I objected to was overruled. So I'm not no dummy. Looking at, if we had a scoreboard, looking at the points, I was losing. I was losing. So I'm not going to go back in there and close it. And now I got a whole judgment, and now I got to pay everything and what they sued me for. I'm not doing that. Hell no, I'm not doing that. So we went back to the recess, to the little break. I called him again. I said, "Hey, this is taking longer than expected to litigate this. Is the settlement offer still on the table? Because I would like to accept." And he said, "Yes, it's still on the table, and he will actually prefer to settle than to go through with the rest of this litigation." So therefore, that's what we did. And we went back to the courtroom, and I told the judge we have a tentative settlement agreement, and they have 10 days to write my offer, to send it to me, and for me to sign. And then after that, 2 lump sum payments 45 days after. And then after that, it was 30 days after that for my last payment, which was my second payment. So I agreed verbally on that's what's going to happen. And it's a loss, but it's still not, because they wanted me to pay basically, let's say $4,000 more than what we settled for. So it's not an all the way win, but it's still a win, because we settled for less than half of what they were trying to make me pay. So I'm going to take that as a slight W, a slight W. So that's where I'm at. That was July 28th was that court date. So now my wage garnishment, aka motion to vacate case against Discover, is now closed. Well, it will be completely closed after I finish my payments with them. So yeah, we got this far. We got this far. Oh, and the money that was taken from me, that was garnished, it went back to the sheriff, and it was supposed to be issued out to me automatically, but they didn't do it because they had a software update, and that it needed to manually be sent out to me. I had no clue that happened until I called them a week before our court date to see what was going on with that garnishment and why it was not added into the balance that they were suing me for. So I got that and got the reason why. So currently, I'm waiting for that money to be returned to me. It should be returned to me in the next 72 hours by mail. So that's where I'm at with this, y'all. Am I stopping? No, I'm not stopping. Because guess what? I got a collection letter in the mail a couple months ago. I sent them a debt validation letter, and it popped up on my report still. So now you're probably going to see in the future some debt collection videos on how to get this removed after you dispute it, and they still reported it to the credit reporting agencies. So that's where I'm at now, and I love it. I love it. You know, credit repair, credit consulting, litigating. I love it. You know what I mean? I've had three court cases so far with this, and I'm not letting up. So if you need any more of this on your timeline, I'm just here to help everyone be financially free, to maybe learn something that they didn't know. I'm here to help y'all. All right. If you need any resources or anything like that, feel free to go to pocketassembly.com, browse it. I'm pretty sure there's something there that you can use. All right, y'all. Origin Base.